Did they tell you it's life or death?
Well, if I said to anybody, you've been diagnosed with cancer, what's the first thing you think of?
Hi friends, Elle Macpherson is about to get super personal and reveal some details about being diagnosed with cancer with some questions she's never answered before. I'm Kara Mayer Robinson, a celebrity therapist and coach, and the host of Really Famous, which you're watching right now. Let's learn who Elle Macpherson is and what her struggles have really been like. How was it to talk about your breast cancer diagnosis in the book? Were you kind of on the fence about that at all?
Well, I mean, it would have been totally inauthentic if I admitted it. And I knew that it was, could have been seen as controversial. It was never meant to be. It was that chapter, I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2017. That chapter about breast cancer is really profoundly about how to make a decision when we're gripped with fear. And in my case, it was a life or death situation. So the fear was genuine. It wasn't just a figment of my imagination. And it wasn't about what I did. It's by no means an instruction manual on, what to do if you have cancer and what kind of protocol to follow or anything like that. It is about how do you make a decision when the outside world is so loud that you can barely hear yourself breathe, let alone find a solution. And you have questions that need to be answered, and you need actions to be taken, and you just don't know what to do. You don't know what to do, and that chapter is about that.
Was that your intention then going in, this is how I'm going to talk about cancer?
Well, this was my experience with cancer. I think the cancer itself was a mind...
You can say it.
Fuck. Like me, of all people, like the most natural health and wellness girl. And that's when I realized that any dis-ease in our body is exactly that, a dis-ease, and that it is not purely genetic or physical. It may be partially, but it's also emotional, spiritual, and mental misalignment.
So did they tell you it's life or death?
If I said to anybody, you've been diagnosed with cancer, what's the first thing you think of?
I think the first thing I would think of, okay, what stage is it?
Well, I mean, I've seen people with stage 4 cancer and survive, and
Right.
stage 0 cancer and die, So I for me, it wasn't so much about the stage. It was that there is a real threat of making a mistake in the treatment that I sought, or it was a death sentence.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest fear for everybody.
Yeah.
Probably is that it's a death sentence. Does this
Yeah.
mean the end?
Yes.
So those were some of the thoughts that went
Yeah.
through your mind at
Absolutely.
that time.
Yeah. Very uncomfortable. I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
But, for me, it was a catalyst. It was such a magnificent sort of catalyst because I did a deep dive into everything that could have caused it, that could heal it, that could rebalance. I got to know my body so well. And I also realized that all that time when I'd been not appreciating my body, and the only thing that mattered was getting well, and nothing else matters, and so that was, and then so how do I get well? How do I stay well? Was really, and that's why I'm still so passionate about WelleCo, which I had developed 10 years before.
Right. So you developed that before, and then there was another lump in your breast, right, that you felt?
Yes, when that was the beginning of WelleCo, I felt a lump in my breast, and I wanted to know, why did I get that lump? It was not a cancerous lump.
It was benign.
Yeah, it was benign. It was a cystic fibroadenoma, as they call it. But I started thinking back then, what's going on?
So that's why you developed WelleCo.
Yes,
and then it
because
was a few years later.
Yeah.
What did you have another? Did you feel another lump in your
No,
breast?
nothing.
Oh, you
I did a regular checkup, and I recommend those. I personally don't do mammographies. I do ultrasound, And the doctor said to me, there's an unusual mass in your breast and we have to do a biopsy. And then, the biopsy, and you get one diagnosis with a biopsy, and then I did a lumpectomy, and then I got another diagnosis with that lumpectomy, and then I did another second lumpectomy, and it was an even different sort of diagnosis, or a more profound diagnosis perhaps.
What do you mean by more profound diagnosis?
Oh, I mean, I don't want to go into the details of the medical stuff, because it's like anybody, that's sort of, medical records and
Personal.
yeah. It's the learning through it that really matters. It doesn't really matter. And, and I also don't want people sort of going, oh, I have that, therefore I've got to do what she did. Because,
that's dangerous territory also, I feel, that you might feel.
Well, for anybody
responsible
to follow somebody else's plan, you have to find what works for you, with all the advice that you get from the people that you trust and respect. And then you get very quiet within yourself and go, okay, what resonates? What do I truly believe in my heart is the best path to follow?
Yeah, again, that's that self-trust.
Yeah. And I was fortunate because I had quite a lot of experience in that up till then. It was almost like all my life experience had led me to that moment when I was diagnosed, that I was able to dig deep and trust.
Yeah. That's what your life is about. And you don't know when you're going through your life what you're building to help you later.
So true.
But you are.
You're creating your future by your present. That's why it's so important to be in the now. Right now, not in the past, and not in the future. It's right here, right now that we create our future.
So you mentioned that I know that you've had a therapist.
Yes.
So what is one of the things that your therapist taught you that's invaluable?
Oh, there's not just one. So I couldn't, I don't think I could isolate one. I mean, it was a gentle uncovering, flowering of understandings, and there were things that she would say to me early on, and then I just would get so angry with her. I would walk out and I'd go, she doesn't know me. She's making up, it's some therapist's perspective and she's putting me into a box. But as time went on, she planted seeds, and those seeds became markers of awareness for me. Now, I didn't necessarily have to agree with what she was saying, but I was aware. And that awareness blossoming within me gave me the sort of self-awareness that ultimately has become a great strength. And I encourage everybody to go on that journey of self-awareness, because it's beautiful.
Yeah. So it's so interesting to me what you're saying about the therapy experience, because as a therapist, I'm intrigued by, it's always useful to know what the person on the other chair is thinking. So so a therapist, so she told you some things. You were like, what the? So what were some of the things that she said?
Oh, well, I think you need to go to rehab.
Elle talks about this in the next part of our talk. Elle opens up about rehab, alcoholism, and some more very personal things. You can watch that right here or click on the link that I put in the description. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe, because I have many more where this came from. In fact, if you want to see another very intimate and exceptionally real interview with a model, check out my talk with Daisy Fuentes.